We'll gather around, feel the love come down. Blue elephant is strong.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I recently, well, not recently, it's been a couple months ago, received a few diamond dot packages from Diamond Art Gift. Now, they are predominantly all diamond painting type deals, and today we are going to do one of them. Now, I've already had my daughter, she completed it for me because I was running out of time. And we are going to do something with this adorable little kitty. Now, I know. I said I was done with my Halloween videos. I may have inadvertently lied, and I apologize. This week, however, will be the last of them for this year. I promise. I swear. It will be. Beyond Saturday, I'm not doing any more. So we'll have today's, we'll have Thursdays, and then we will have the Halloween collab with Crafty YouTubers United on Saturday, and then we are moving on from Halloween completely. Okay, so my initial thought process was I wanted to put it inside a tray. However, I didn't realize, or I didn't pay attention, or all of the above, that it was going to be square and the size wasn't right, and I don't have a tray to fit it, like an actual like wooden tray. I wanted to put it in there. So we are going to put it in this tray mold that I have, and we're just going to do it completely different. Now, in order to do that, because it's too big, I cut out this sheet of paper that is the same size as the inner part of the bottom of this tray, and I kind of, you saw, taped it on to where the image that I want, and we're going to cut that out. But first, what we're going to do is I want the tray itself to be black. So I just mixed up some of my Let's Resin epoxy, and I'm taking some Rolio black pigment paste, and we're going to do the sides of this tray and let that start curing while we work on the actual diamond dot painting itself. Now, I just mixed a little bit in. I want it, so I want it black, right? But obviously we're going to have to do clear in it for the actual, like, part of the tray where we're showing the diamond dot painting. So there's going to have to be some clear. So I'm going to get a line, but I am going to fill this up mostly, like, it's going to be a little bit below where the actual, like, bottom of this tray is, because I want to give a little bit of room for the clear once I pour it in. And I need to make sure that if my edges are hanging over, like, I want to give them room to kind of hang over. So I don't want it too high. I don't want it too low. It just kind of got to be in the right area, like the right height, I guess. And I decided that it's going to be a little bit lower. This way, it still has some room for that clear to go underneath. I don't have to worry about, I don't know. There was a reason for it when I did it, and my mind is blank now as to what that reasoning was. So we're just going to go with it. Now, you did see that I went around all those 90-degree edges with my dotting tool, and that's just to make sure that there's no bubbles sticking there. We are going to take our heat gun to it just to pop any surface bubbles that may be there, set this off to the side, let it start to cure, and now we're going to start working on the actual image itself. Now, I feel horrible. My daughter had a time with this one. And I remember she had texted me when she was doing all the black around the edges, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is taking forever, and it's all one color." And now I'm cutting it all off. So I do feel bad. But what I did was I am cutting it off like one line down away from that, where that paper is. So this way it hangs over just a little bit, that I don't have to worry if it's slightly too small, it not fitting. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to cut it too big because I don't want to have the edges all the way out to the sides of the mold to where you can see it. I want it to be as much centered in there as possible, but I do want to have a little bit of extra just in case my measurements are off, just in case something stupid happened, just in case. Okay? So I did go and cut one line on every which way over the paper just to give me a little bit of wiggle room in there. and I just took my craft blade to do it, and I figured it would be okay. Now, the issue is could be when you're doing something like this, obviously you don't want to knock any of those drills loose, and so you want to take it kind of slow, pay attention, and obviously your lines have to be straight. Now, luckily for me, this isn't a piece that I actually did because I suck at having my drills completely straight. Like, I really do try, but I suck at it. My daughter, on the other hand, is like crazy anal about it, and she is like perfection when it comes to her lines. So at least I didn't have an issue with that, even though I know she's not going to be super crazy happy when I tell her I had to cut off all that work that she didn't want to do anyway. But look how cute it is. All right, so now what I want to do is so that I don't have an issue later on, and we are, because we're working backwards, I want to go ahead and seal this with resin now. This way, I don't have to worry about drills falling off. I don't have to worry about when I flip it upside down, bubbles getting trapped there, because that can very, very easily happen and will most likely happen doing it this way, like upside down, because there's so many areas for it to get stuck. I am using Let's Resin Fast Cure resin for this, and my reason is because I like the thickness of it. So it's going to stay and hopefully not, like, I mean, I'm pushing it off, but I don't want it to, if I had a super thin viscosity resin, it would just kind of run everywhere and I may not get it completely covered and the coverage and just how I want it to be. So I am using the Fast Cure for the reason of the viscosity of it and also that it doesn't have a lot of time to move. I don't want it to move a lot. Like, I want it to set up and cure as fast as possible so that this isn't going to be an issue. I am taking my time to smooth it all out. Now, you saw I put it on this. Now, I have done it before to where I've just laid it on my big silicone mat and just crossed my fingers and hope that the resin didn't like just go everywhere off my table and whatever. Because this one is smaller, since I cut it down to size, I can fit it on here. Now, the edges, those little corners are hanging off a little bit, but it's fine. It's not making it, like, it's actually not falling over or anything where I have to worry about it not being straight. It'll be okay. But I am making sure that it is completely covered. I don't necessarily care if it's going over the edges or not. Like, that doesn't bother me. That's why I have it on this silicone mold, because this way it cures. I don't have to worry about anything and I can just cut it off the next day while it is still kind of, on the softer side before it gets super crazy hard. Okay. After I get it everywhere that I want it, I know I have a nice even coverage on it. I am going to hit it with my heat gun really well just to pop any bubbles that may be there. And then that's it. We're going to let it set, do its thing. Okay, so 24 hours later, and here we are. Now I'm going to pull this off. Now, hindsight, I probably could have used, as you see, a lot less resin. And my incredibly smart self decided that scissors were the way to go. Well, they are the way to go. It's a much better option. However, it is a lot thicker than I anticipated it being, and my scissors don't want to cut. So I decided that I'm going to try this way and kill my hands because it's super crazy hard and I'm having issues with it. And eventually I will get smart here in a minute. I realized that it's working for the thinner pieces, but then once you get to the thicker ones, it's not cutting through, and I'm not trying to break my scissors. So, I always have to go the harder route first before I get smart. So then I decided, okay, I'll try my craft blade. This should work, right? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's still too thick, and it just wasn't doing it. I couldn't even cut through on one whole piece. Now, because of the way that I was kind of bending it, I did get some areas where it kind of pulled off of those drills. It's fine. It's not a big deal. They are all sealed in, but you can tell. So you may not want to do that. The smart way to go was what I'm doing right now. heating it up for a couple of seconds with my heat gun, and then cutting it off once it got soft. That was what I should have done the entire way. It would have got a nice, neater cut, less painful on my hands, and everything would have been great. Okay, now I'm just lining up to make sure everything's good. Now, the reason I'm not worried about how my cut is, it's messy and sloppy and whatever, it's because remember, I gave myself that extra line of drills on each go around. So you're not going to see it. So I'm not super crazy worried about it being perfectly straight because I have a little bit of overhang in every direction. Just not so much that I'm going to have to worry about seeing it from the other side. So I'm just kind of lining it up. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to get more of my Let's Resin epoxy. Now this is the regular, this is not the fast cure. I want it to be thin. I want to make sure that I'm not going to have any issues with bubbles clinging to it. All right, so I cleaned my mold from any debris, from any little bits and pieces of resin that have dried and balled up and whatever, so it's all nice and clean. I poured a layer of the clear resin down all along the edges and over top of this mold. Now I'm going to hit it with my heat gun to thin it out and, get rid of any surface bubbles. Go around all these 90-degree angles with my dotting tool just to make sure that there's no bubbles stuck there. Then I'm going to take my heat gun again. Now, I want to make sure that this is bubble free. So I am taking my time with the heat gun and everything just to make sure that it looks as perfect as possible. And I'm just going to take my craft stick and kind of smooth out this resin just to make sure it's covering the silicone completely. I don't want any issues. Hit it with the heat gun again. Like I said, I'm really taking my time. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour a little bit of resin over top of this image and rub it all over it. Now this is going to help any kind of air bubbles because it's resin meeting resin. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I won't have any air pockets stuck up underneath of there, and I covered it really well. Now I am also taking my time on this part as well. Just pushing out, kind of smoothing it over, pushing out any air pockets that I may see. And then you're going to see that I'm going to slide this back and forth. Like I'm going to slide the image back and forth. And that's just to kind of like, if there's any, because I don't have a whole lot of room on any side of it, right? And I don't want to lift it up and have the possibility of incorporating more air bubbles into it because I can't see what I'm doing. So I'm going to slide it back and forth a little bit in every direction just to kind of see if there's any bubbles that are popping out, deal with those, and then center this as best I can with not being able to see. Now, the other issue is I don't want too much clear resin in here. I need enough so that I know I'm not going to have an issue with there being like spots. You know how like if you don't have enough resin in something that it will like pull towards the center when it's curing and then you have empty spots on your mold or whatever because you didn't put enough in. I don't want that to happen underneath this, and then when I pour my backing color on, it seep up under there and just ruin everything. So I am making sure, but I don't have hardly any room left. Okay, so this is dry. Let's talk about your bad and your old resin. Now, this resin, I'm not going to say what brand it is, came to me yellowed, not great resin. This was mixing it up slowly. You see how many bubbles are incorporated in that. It is ridiculous, right? But if you test a small batch, and I would definitely recommend testing something small first to make sure that it's not bad to the point where it won't cure for you, because you don't want to ruin a whole project. Don't necessarily have to throw it away. You can still make it work. Like for this piece in particular, I didn't use it on any of the parts that are actually going to be seen. I used my Let's Resin for that, right? But this backing part is going to be the bottom. You're not going to see it. It is completely opaque. You can't see through to those billions and trillions of micro bubbles that are in there. So it works for this. Now, do I recommend using old or bad resin like on a commission piece or something that somebody's buying from you? Not necessarily, unless again like this it's okay. it was yellowed. It was just, you guys saw it. I made a point to make sure you saw it. Like, that was not good resin. But it'll work for this little bit that I need it for, instead of using better resin or throwing all of that out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't throw your money away. You can still make use of it for certain things in certain situations. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there to you guys. But again, before doing something where you're going to have to mix up a bit of it, and you could potentially, like this, if it doesn't cure, ruin the entire piece, check it small scale first, make sure it's still going to cure for you, and then just take your time. And if it's opaque, you're not going to see the bubbles. You're not going to see the yellowed in it. It's just a backing for it. So it doesn't matter like that. Anyway, I had to do a very, very thin layer. Like, there was not any room in this mold at all to work with because of the clear, and everything filled it up so much. And because that layer that I put on the diamond dot itself was so thick. But it's fine. It'll be fine. We got this in here. Now I am going to clean up the sides, and I am going to heat this really, really, really well. This resin was like crazy, ridiculously thick too when I was mixing it, which is probably part of the reason why there's so many bubbles. But I want to make sure I can get out as many bubbles as possible. Now, is there the possibility, because of the amount of bubbles that are in there, that where the layers meet up, I get air pockets or bubbles or whatever stuck there? Absolutely. Honestly, let's all be real. That's a chance you take anytime you do resin anyway. Like, it doesn't even matter. It can still happen. So we're going to let this cure and keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best on it, honestly. All right, so 24 hours later, here we are. Now, there is a weird little spot going around the backing of it, and I almost feel like it's because of the way that the canvas that diamond dot printed on was formed, because that's kind of in the shape-ish that it looks like. But look how cute this guy is. Like, I think this is beautiful. Honestly, you could hang it up as a picture if you wanted to. I love it. I think it's absolutely adorable. That's a wrap on this one, guys. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I will see you guys on Thursday in the next one. Love ya. Bye.
Pumpkins glow in the moonlight's gentle flow. Candy corn and ghost parade underneath the silver shade. Giggling, just flying by with the kid.